I think just the massive benefit is seeing those changes in the room where couples start to relate to each other. And I think there's often a stigma that couples therapy is about somehow magically fixing things or making things work. But actually some of the greatest changes that I've seen have maybe been in separation counselling, where couples unfortunately have decided that the relationship isn't right for them, but they still maybe have children, or they still want to be on good terms with each other, and they want to manage the separation well. And it's really heartwarming to see that despite people making that decision in their lives, they can still treat each other with respect and decency and learn to hear each other and understand their feelings through that. And some of those sessions have actually been very transformational, to see people still caring about each other even through a separation. I think that's a major achievement. So it's not always about a happy ending, unfortunately. Life doesn't always work out that way. And it's not always about a magical fix, but it's about understanding feelings and being able to communicate effectively and understand what's going on for each other. Often people will come in and they'll feel that there's an issue that is more relating to one person than the other. So for example, one person may have an addiction or one person may have an anxiety, and yet they'll still come in as a couple initially to perhaps talk about how that affects them both. Obviously, if your partner has an addiction, it's going to affect you too. So sometimes there can be a question about, is this appropriate for couples therapy or should I really be coming alone? And I think, actually it's very powerful sometimes to have them come as a couple. As I said just before, it affects you both if one person is going through these issues, so why not explore it together? And to have your partner there as an advocate for you through that process, and to really see the changes that you're making and to support you through that, and also for you to be the support for them and think about how it's impacting them, that can be very powerful in a relationship. So equally, there can be issues which feel like they're just affecting an individual, but to bring your partner with you into the session and have that of couples therapy, that can be very powerful too. So it's not always just about what seems to be couples issues. There can also be situations where it feels like an individual issue, but it's very powerful to explore it as a couple. So there can be all different kinds of situations really, which feel like they really work well in therapy and can help couples transform how they're relating. And I think that's always the reward, is just to see a couple in the room start to change how they relate to each other. Also, it's important to say that relational therapy doesn't have to just take place with a couple. There are people who, for whatever reason, can't have their partner be there. The partner may have work commitments or may even be long distance abroad or somewhere else. So they'll come alone and be able to explore relational issues, how they relate to people in their lives or what tends to happen in their relationships. And they can recognise that there may be patterns that play out for them, and they can start to change how they have their relationships in their life. So very often people will be very successful professionally, but something will be lacking personally. And that's again something that you can look at with relational therapy, identify those patterns and change those. So it's really rewarding to see people start to understand these patterns that they play out, often unconsciously, and to start to make those changes.